Hello, everyone. Time now for my 2022 Oklahoma Sooner football preview. Part number one, we talked about the offense. Now, give attention to the defense. And if you're asking yourself, why did the Sooners hire Brent Venables to be their head coach? After all, he had never been a head coach before. I think a couple of reasons. Number one, it's never stopped Oklahoma before when it came to hiring a head coach with no head coaching experience. Just look at the last two, Bob Stoops and Lincoln Riley. Enough said. And then number two, the Sooners obviously addressing the defense issue. And a couple of years ago, the Sooner defense was top 30 in the country, but last year, Alex Grinch's defense took major steps backwards, finishing the season 77th in total D of about 130 teams. And one big reason, they just didn't get into the backfield near enough, not creating enough quarterback pressure and getting sacks. 2 years ago, they averaged 3.5 sacks per game. Last year, about 2.5. So obviously some changes were in order, and you bring Brent Venables, the one-time Sooner defensive coordinator, who as defensive coordinator at Clemson won a couple of national championships and produced some NFL first-round type talent in the process. So you bring in Venables, a head coach for the first time, and you're bringing in Ted Roof, who he coached with at Clemson, to be the Sooners defensive coordinator. So even though Roof in technical terms is the defensive coordinator, in reality, this will be a Brent Venables defense all the way through. You're going to see different looks, different formations than what you saw at Alex Grinch, a more complex defense than what Oklahoma has run previously, and yes, more aggressive. So will they give up plays? Of course, but are they going to force turnovers? And are they going to get into the backfield and get those sacks? I believe that they will. And this defense, I think, will continue its progression throughout this season and seasons to come. So I'm excited about it. The Sooners have to replace those 6 of 11 defensive starters from 2021, and that does start at the defensive line, where you have to replace both Perrion Winfrey and Isaiah Thomas, trying to make it to the next level. A healthy Jalen Redmond, though, at that defensive line spot will go a long way. Now, Redmond, had an impactful 2019, but decided not to play the following season because of the COVID scare. Last season had injury issues, but did start 7 games, did come on strong late. You might remember he had that scoop 6 for a touchdown, the fumble return against Iowa State in that 7-point win over the Cyclones. So that was pretty important. And Redmond has added some muscle during the offseason. So Redmond, I expect him to be extremely impactful as far as the inside play of that defensive line, along with the transfer from Tulane, that's Jeffrey Johnson. Now, Johnson, 6'2", 313 pounds. Started 44 games for the Green Wave, so I think him and Redmond should complement each other very well. I think Ethan Downs and Reggie Grimes on the outside will complement each other well. In that process, Downs started 9 games as a freshman last year at 14 tackles, and Reggie Grimes, that other defensive projected starter, 18 tackles last year and started 5 games. So there's experience there. And you bring in experience with another transfer. This guy from Hawaii, and Jonah Laulu, 6'5", 260 pounds. 11 starts last season, 18 starts for his career, had 4 sacks a year ago. So he'll be a part of that mix too, along with the veteran and Marcus Stripling, who, by the way, got to start late in the season in the Alamo Bowl. Linebackers, you lose a dandy and Nick Benito, who decided to leave to venture the NFL waters. And you also, too, lose David Osamala. But you do return the team's 3rd leading tackler, a guy who could be all Big 12 this year in Deshaun White, had 66 tackles previously, will occupy the weak side linebacker spot. As far as the middle, this guy's stock is rising. And Danny Stutzman played 10 games last season as a freshman, expected to be a starter this time around. Coaches have been bragging about him both as far as spring ball this past April and, of course, 2-a-days in August. So Danny Stutzman, one to watch. And the veteran will also be in the mix in terms of the middle linebacker in David Agwebu, who started 4 times last year. As far as strong side linebacker, a guy who played all 13 games last year in Shane Witter, had 27 tackles last season. And if you're looking for a freshman who could be an impactful player for this defense, how about Jaren Connect from Hays, Kansas? Incredible upper body strength and lightning fast. Runs a 4.440 and posted one of the fastest 100-meter times this past year in the history of Kansas high school athletics. So Jaren Connect, watch for him too. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be watching T.D. Roof this season, another linebacker, the son of Ted Roof, a transfer from Appalachian State. Unfortunately, a few days ago, tore a bicep, so it looks like his 2022 season is over before it even began. Looking at the secondary, now, of course, I come from the old school belief that, your secondary is only as good as the front seven is. If the front seven is doing their part, if they're putting pressure on the quarterback, if they're being disruptive, obviously they're throwing the timing of the quarterback off, which plays right into the hands of the secondary. So we'll see how the secondary can do this upcoming season. You got some experience back at the corners in Woody Washington, the former safety, should settle into one corner. The other one in DJ Graham, a 10-game starter from a season ago. His best game last season was the opener against Tulane, in which he had 6 tackles. And also expect to hear from C.J. Colden, who I think will play as a corner as well. Let's go ahead and highlight the secondary's safeties, starting with the strong safety. He'll be a key. That's Key Lawrence. It seemed like anywhere last year the Sooners needed him to play in the secondary. He did, but he'll settle in nicely at strong safety. The former Tennessee Volunteer a year ago had 4 starts and played all 13 games. And Billy Bowman. Billy Bowman, as a freshman last season, got 7 starts. He'll play at free safety. And when the Sooners do show that 5 defensive back look for the nickel back, and that's Trey Morrison. Right now probably has the edge as far as starting there. The former North Carolina Tar Heel played all 4 seasons during his career under Matt Brown and had over 130 tackles in his career. And you have the veteran who will play as well, I think, in the nickelback or at one of the safety spots. That's Justin Broyles, the former Midwest City Bomber. It seems like he's been with the Sooners for quite a long time. And briefly, let's highlight the special teams. Kick returner and punt returner, big positions for this team, and they'll have plenty of speed there. Marvin Mims and Eric Gray, respectively, should handle those spots. As far as place kicker, you have to replace a dandy. Gabe Berkridge he finally ran out of eligibility. Had some big kicks last year for the Sooners, including 4 field goals and that narrow escape against Tulane and the game-winning kick against West Virginia. Could come down to a game-winning kick or 2 this season. You never know. So now Zach Schmidt will occupy those big shoes. You don't have to worry about lack of experience as far as punter. Sooners have one of the best in the land. That's right. Michael Turk, who did big things at Arizona State and last year for the Sooners, averaged over 51 yards per punt. And by the way, the only Sooner on this entire roster named first team preseason All Big 12. Turk, I hope you have a good year, but I'm going to say this like I would to any Sooner punter. I hope I don't see you often, because if I do, that means that the offense is having struggles. So that takes a look at part 2 of my defense and my special teams preview. Part number 3, my final part, will come up soon. We're going to talk about the Sooner schedule and my prediction for the 2022 Oklahoma Sooner squad. Thanks for watching, everybody.